Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back to another coffee chat. Although I'm drinking water today and not coffee, my allergies are kind of killing me. And also, so many people said anxiety, let's cut the coffee. So I'm trying to cut back a little bit. So we're drinking water today. How are you? How's it going? Welcome back to another coffee chat. So today we are going to do a bit of an update. So on Fridays now, I am doing a little bit of an update first throughout the course of the live stream to kind of update you guys on how the house is going and show you as it gets built. And then also to share with you how the book is coming along. Gabriella says, I'm drinking water with you. Hello, everybody. Hey. I'm so very happy that you're all here. I saw that Carrie is celebrating a birthday today. So happy birthday to Carrie. I'm glad that you got to take the day off today. That is really fun. Hi, Kim. Welcome. Yes, Janet is here. I'm so glad to see you. Janet and I pretty much talk throughout the day on our phones through our Marco Polo app. So it's always good to see her here as well. But I luckily get to see her all the time. So I have been working like crazy. This book is finally like opening itself up to me, and you'll see. So I've been vlogging the whole day because I'm also doing vlogs for Camp Nano. And I had originally planned to do Camp Nano vlogs where I would like follow me the whole week, and it just didn't work out. I can't stay consistent enough with it to do like the whole week and everything else. And I wasn't happy with the footage. So I woke up this morning and then I thought, okay, I'm just going to do a day in the life. So I've been pretty much recording my day today, all the way from the time we got up to now and all the way into the evening. So that should be a fun vlog. Hopefully that will be edited and up by Sunday. If you're interested in watching that, it won't be here on this channel. It'll be on my Heart Breathings channel, which is now at this moment only about 50 people away from 42,000 subscribers. So if you have not subscribed to that channel as well, come join us over there. I just did a Kanban board update over there that I posted yesterday. That was a really fun video, very long video, but a fun video as well. So if you want to see a little behind the scenes, go check out the vlog, but that has been really fun. It is, Laura. It's too much to film every day and write, and also keep up with the kids and make sure that everything looks nice. Plus, I feel the pressure of trying to make everything look perfect. And I know that nobody's life is perfect, but I follow a lot of YouTubers here, like mommy vloggers that have new babies and different things like that. And I feel like their houses just always look so perfectly clean, and they always have the perfect like makeup and different things and outfits on. And I'm like, I cannot compete. And in my mind, I know you don't have to compete. You can just be yourself and it's fine. But I always get nervous about sharing like the actual mess in my house, because it's not like it's that bad, but it's just like toys everywhere and just different kinds of things. So anyway, I get nervous to share that. And when I'm filming every single day, I feel the nervousness of like, or the pressure of, I gotta keep the house clean, or I need to put makeup on today, or I should do my hair. So yeah, Jenna says they're probably all a hot mess behind the scenes. You know, a lot of them probably are, but also a lot of them, especially like some of the ones that I follow that have like 700,000 subscribers or more, they also have like several nannies. And I didn't realize that until I was following one of them on Instagram. And she was at like Disney World or something last year. And she had like all these photos of her with her kids. And I thought, gosh, how is she getting all these pictures? And then you find out that she had 2 nannies with her at Disney World. And I was like, oh, okay. So, you know, often I think they do have people coming in to clean their houses and do things like that. So, you know, Elegant Granny says, you're a mom. It's supposed to look like your children are happy. Yeah, I think that's true. I think it's just, you know, we all feel like we want to present our best selves to the world and not air every little bit of everything. And so sometimes that just feels a little bit vulnerable, but I don't mind getting vulnerable, as you all know. It's just, you know, when I'm writing a book, the house tends to get a little bit messier. George does a lot to keep up with things, but I have a hard time. I'm the one who gets messy. And you wouldn't think that if you follow my Heart Breathings channel, you'd be like, oh gosh, she's so organized in her Kanban board in her office and things like that. But I am actually a pretty messy person. I'm not like messy where I leave like food all over the house most of the time, but I am messy in that I leave clothes on the floor. I leave stacks of books. I'm a stacker. So I tend to stack like magazines and books and clothes all in a stack. So it looks, I don't know, it's like organized chaos to a degree. So yeah, it gets a little bit hard sometimes to show that or to feel like I need to be my very best self. I have a YouTube channel and I air my best self on there, the self that has messy hair, no makeup, and an unmade bed in the background. And, you know, that is fine too. And of course, we all like people, but there are also people out there who judge. So let's just be honest about that. So it does happen as well. So it's all good. George, I'm like, you shall not pass. Then a pile of stuff collapses the bridge and we fall into chaos. If you cannot tell, we have been watching the Lord of the Rings movies here as a family. We have been going through different movies. Most recently, we watched the Back to the Future movies with Andrew, and we only get a chance to watch about 20 minutes of movie per night. So everything we watch gets kind of chunked into, you know, several days worth of watching. And we have made it through Lord of the Rings. Now we're on Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, and we're about maybe a little more than halfway through. And it has been a really fun thing to watch again, because I've seen it a couple of times, but watching it with Andrew, and he has a lot of questions and he wants to know. I was afraid it was going to be way over his head, but he actually did read The Hobbit. My sister gave him The Hobbit for Christmas, and he read that book and really enjoyed it. So now he's reading or watching Lord of the Rings movies, and he's really enjoying it. So that has been a really, really fun experience to watch that with him in the evenings. I forget where. Oh, I was like, why did that come up? Thank you, George. So everybody here probably is a book stacker as well. I just recently so Amber McHugh, who I've talked about before, some of you have probably heard about her. She's kind of a business mentor for me. I'm in her group. It's called Freshly Implemented. And she gifted all of us that are VIPs a 3-month subscription to Book of the Month Club for Christmas. And so I had never been a member. Let me know in the comments if any of you are members of the Book of the Month Club. It's like $10 a month or maybe $15 a month, but you get to choose their special edition. You choose between 5 books that their editors have picked out. And I'm actually really enjoying it because I don't have as much time to read as I want to read, but having that book coming in that is a hardcover, like nice book. George is kind of, I think, a little bit frustrated, and he could tell you in the comments about me getting more books in the mail because we got rid of most of my books. I had so many books, and I'm sure so many of you relate to this. I had so many books, and some of them were books I had just gotten on discount that I never read, but I had to pick them up just like notebooks. And some of them were books that I loved, but probably wouldn't read again. And so when we were moving again into another rental and I was 8 months pregnant, we were like, okay, we're going to get rid of all of these books, and we'll just make a list of all the ones we got rid of and donated so that if I want to buy them an ebook, I can. And I love my Kindle, but I have missed having some regular paper or hardcover books to read. And I think that having that book there, I'm a very visual person. A lot of you know this about me. And so having it just on my Kindle or on a device, I forget that I even have that book. And I don't read as much as I want to. So having an actual hardcover waiting for me in like on my bedside table is encouraging me more to read. So I just got my brand new book in the mail, but now I have like a stack of several books that are starting to stack up and I need to read them. Molasses and Forget Me Nots Janet says at least 1,000 pounds of books here. I know from moving across the country. Oh my gosh. Hi, Tanya. I love you. Welcome, welcome. So things are crazy but I'm enjoying the reading. I'm enjoying the writing. George and I spent we'll get to the book update in just a minute, and I can tell you guys kind of how it's going. And that is going to be a fun update. But things slowed way down this week because I hit it wasn't really a plot snag necessarily. It was just that everything that I had plotted out has become like it's changing a little bit. And this is just part of the writing process, that I think I kind of know where the story's going to go. And then as the characters do their thing on the page, they take on a mind of their own. I know so many people must think that authors decide what their characters are going to do, but that is not always the case. So often these characters decide what they're going to do and new things will come out. So there always comes a point about halfway through the book or a little before halfway where I have to go back in and replot or rethink where things are headed. And this book has particular level of, complexity to it because it's book 11 in this series. It's also been 2.5 years since I wrote the previous book. And even just saying that makes me want to cry because it's just been so long. But it has been, and it is fine, but I'm getting back into it. But everything that I'm setting up in this book has to set up that final book. And that final book has a lot of pressure on it because I want to make sure, I think that endings are really tough. And it's hard to make sure that your fans are going to be happy and feel good about what you did with an ending. And I think that there is some level of disappointment no matter what you do as an author with the ending of a long series, because people don't want it to end. And so whatever you do is slightly disappointing because they're mixing that feeling of it's over and I don't want it to be over with what choices the author made. But let me know in the comments what book series you think that you have loved in the past that you really loved the ending to, that you really felt like, man, they did that justice and it was really, really good. Or let me know in the comments one, while being kind, because we want to be kind to authors, and you never know what author might actually be sitting here watching us, but what was one that you felt like you were just so devastated when it ended, or that you were disappointed with how it ended? I would be curious to know. I personally I kind of am an easy to please sort of person when it comes to reading. I generally just love the adventure of it, and whether or not it ended exactly the way I wanted, like Hunger Games, for example. I haven't read the new Hunger Games book that's out, that's like a prequel or whatever, I think. But I loved that first book. Second book, a little bit less. The third book, a little bit less, but I appreciated the journey of it. So even though I was disappointed in some ways with how it ended, I also appreciated why she made those choices. So I think it's really tough because I think that no matter what I do, there are going to be some people who are really disappointed in how it ends. But there are also going to be people that are just disappointed that it's over, regardless of how it ends. Laura said, I'm thinking mostly of TV shows that bugged me. Yeah, a lot of people I know were upset about the ending to Divergent. I actually never read the final book in that series because there were so many people saying that they didn't love that ending. And I know that that was probably really difficult for that author because, she makes the choice that she feels is right. And a lot of people were really disappointed in it. So can you imagine being her? It was probably a really tough experience for her. Redbird said, I loved the ending of the Finishing School series by Gail Carriger. Yeah, I have not read any of her books before, but I know a lot of people love those. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was so good. Okay, Lyran, I'm going to have to go and get that because I really did love those books, even though I was like, oh, there's a little bit of disappointment with exactly how they ended, but I understand why she ended it that way. And I still appreciated her choices. But yeah, I need to read that. Any Lisa Jewell book has a good ending, even when they are a shock. Yes, I have not read any of her books either. I was shocked at the ending of Divergent, but I thought it made sense. I'll say it. Game of Thrones. Well, Game of Thrones has not ended yet if you're talking about the books. But I actually, if you talk about Game of Thrones, the television show, George and I actually loved it. And I knew that that was where it was going for a long time. And I think a lot of people were shocked by it. But I personally, story structure wise, I knew that that was where it was heading. And I thought it was appropriate, but I know a lot of people didn't like it. So we won't have to get into that argument. VC Andrews Flower in the Attic. Writer Groupie says, I don't like series endings. Still haven't read the final Harry Potter. I think I talked about this before in another one of our coffee chats, that when Harry Potter came out, I actually was, first in line to pre-order it. I was there at midnight to grab my copy, and then I didn't read it for like 9 months because it was just, and my sister kept calling me like, you have to read this. We have to talk about it. And I just could not bring myself to read that book. I had it, but I could not bring myself to read it. And when I finally did decide to read it, we had an extra, back before we had kids and we had room in our house, we actually lived in a really small townhouse that was less than 1,000 square feet, but we had an extra bedroom in that house, that townhouse. And I told George, I was like, okay, I'm going into this guest room for however long it takes me to finish this book. Leave me water and food outside the door. And you're probably going to hear sobbing, but it's all going to be okay. And I just did not stop reading until the book was done. Twilight was the same for me. I know a lot of you do not like Twilight, but when that final book came out, I actually read it right away. I was there at the midnight party. I picked up the book and I read it right away, but I did not stop reading because I just needed to read the whole thing all at once. Oh no, Rana says, I was so angry with the plot of Game of Thrones and the ending was so bad and questioned whether it was all worth it. Oh no. Yeah, I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about it. I personally loved it. So, to each their own, but I think that a lot of people were very disappointed in that. I totally convinced my cousin to watch Bates Motel, and when she finally did, we spent hours talking about each episode. That to me is one of the best parts of getting to a series, rather than, standalones are great too, but having a series that you can really sit and talk to somebody that you love, or a group like this, and actually talk about what's happening in this episode and what's going on, and all of that kind of thing, I think is so valuable. And that's one of the things I love so much about the book community, and even television and stories altogether, is because it takes us to a new world, but it allows us to talk about things that we have in common, things we disagree with, things that we loved, things we appreciated, characters we loved, and it makes us feel a connection that I think is really important. So somebody had asked, how old is my son? So Andrew is 8 and he will be 9 this summer, but he is kind of an advanced reading level. So yeah, he's reading all kinds of things, and we've been trying to find things that that are good for all of us. So he's just really been enjoying Lord of the Rings, and I hope that he does go back and read all the books. I have not read all of those books either, so I would like to read them all. So that is good. So yeah, I think I feel that pressure as I'm working on basically the ending of a series that is more than a decade in the making, to figure out not only to be true to the story, because I have to do that, but also to make sure that it's something that you guys will appreciate. And I feel like it has to be hard won. It's like, this has to be the worst things these characters have ever been through. It has to feel completely hopeless. Like, I have to really raise the stakes. And the things that are happening in this book are really, this book and the next, because I'm kind of plotting both at the same time, I think I hope are going to be really shocking to some people, because it really is going to, even the first chapter of this next book, I think, is going to be shocking to a lot of people. So here we go. Just wait and see. But while we're chatting about that, let's go ahead and show you the update. So here's our coffee chat update. So here's the little house update. I showed you guys kind of the progression last week as well. So we had just a little bit, and then a little bit more, and then we had the porch and the roof went up. I showed you guys last week. Well, now we have the actual roofing is going on. So it's going just a little bit further. They're putting all the stuff in place for the porch. Now, the front steps are still not done because they don't have the right materials for it. So this is one of the things that they are working on, getting it's like delays from COVID. So that is just one of the things that hasn't really been done. But you can see that lumber was delivered so that they could start working on the porches. So here is the progress of the back porch. And I am so excited about this porch because I cannot wait to sit back here with my like nice furniture, have a screen on the porch so that it's, you know, it's covered. I can sit out there when it's raining. I can sit out there when it's buggy and there's tons of mosquitoes around and I don't have to worry about it. I just am so looking forward to it. And actually, I wanted to show you guys the way that this back is going to look, because I know it's hard when you see just lumber to like kind of imagine what this is going to look like. So this is a picture of the like model version of this house. So this is what the back will look like, except ours is flip-flopped from the model home. So the porch will actually be there like on what you're looking at it, the left side instead of the right side. And then it will have a second porch. So there's kind of two porches. There's the extended screened in porch, and then there's just the plain uncovered porch. And then there's the long staircase. Now we didn't get the stone fireplace and all the stone stuff because we're going to wait until we move in and we see what kind of backyard we have to kind of plan our full backyard. But this is basically what it will look like. And so you can see that space like, what happened to it? No, go back. There we go. So that space you can see kind of down here, like where this fireplace is. And then there's that overhang on the porch. I think you can kind of see it there. We are going to have some concrete underneath. So you'll see that part of the concrete. And this is kind of what I want to do with it. Now this picture has some wood there. We're just going to have concrete, but basically you'll see that kind of hopefully turn into an outdoor living space that will be underneath the house, sort of. I'm going to put fairy lights there, and that way we have a place to play kind of outside of the sun, and I can sit and write and work out there while the kids are playing in the backyard. So I'm really excited about that and actually seeing it come together like this. I agree. Jennifer says amazing opportunities for both porch and patio. And I think so too. I think that there are some really cool outdoor space opportunities here. And I've seen, we would love to have a pool, but I don't think we're going to have any space. And there is a pool. I mean, pools are a lot of maintenance, but there is a space that's a common space that has a pool, like at the community pool. But we were hoping someday to have a pool in our backyard of our house, but there's not going to be room in this house. So we've talked about doing something like a different type of water feature, and then having, similar to what you could see in that other space, having like a big outdoor fireplace or something like that. So I think that'll be fun. Planning a writer's retreat yet? I'm in. Wouldn't that be awesome? And then we're only, I think we're 6 miles from the beach. So we're going to be pretty close to the beach, just a straight shot out there. So that'll be really nice. And I'm thrilled about it. So we're making good progress to the house as we go. I didn't get a call. They usually call me every week to give me updates, and I did not get a call from them this week. So I'm going to have to call them on Monday and just make sure everything's kind of going well. But yeah, it's looking good. They have like a portal that they upload pictures every week. So that's how I'm able to share that with you guys. Andrew, somebody said, how does Andrew feel about the house? Andrew, I think he's excited about having a new space. We are going to do a brand new room for him because he has not really ever had his own set of like furniture, and he's, getting into where he has homework after school, and we want to get him a desk. So we showed him a lot of pictures, and he's excited because he wants to get a desk combo that's like a bunk bed with the desk underneath, like a loft bed. And so we've shown him some examples of it, and he's very excited about this. So I think we're going to get him that kind of loft bed so that he can we've seen some that have bookcases on the side. So he'll get his own like bookcase with a desk and loft bed. So that'll save him space to have his toys and other things in the room. So I think he's pretty excited about it. When will Andrew get to walk in his own bedroom? Do you mean just like when it will be fixed enough for him to go inside. Do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean. But he will, I mean, I'm not sure when it'll be done enough for us to actually go in. They do have stairs though now, because there are stairs from the garage moving up. So I'm not sure. I think that we could probably go in now. But we haven't been out there because they don't have the front steps on, but we actually could probably go because everything's already framed out. So his room is there and ready to go. And Evie and Andrew will share a bathroom space, at least for now, maybe as Evie gets a little bit older. But by the time Evie hits like teenage years or even preteen years, Andrew will be probably out of the house. I don't even want to think about that, but because they're so far apart in age, so we'll see. But for now, they're going to have kind of like a Jack and Jill bedroom space upstairs. So that's pretty neat. In terms of book update, I got quite a bit done. So last week's update, I think I was at 30,000 or 31,000 maybe total, or maybe I was just at the 27,000. Then we had a writing retreat or a double down day on Saturday, and I did not get very much words done, like almost nothing. I had hoped to get a ton done, but I kind of got stuck on what was happening in the next scenes. So just didn't get, I think I got like that 362 words is all I got done that day. And then I got a little bit more done. So I got to 38,590. And then I also had one more day of writing on the 6th and got to 39,440. So I told you guys that I had this little plan that maybe by the time I hit 50 writing sprints, I would be at 32,500 words. And I actually am 6,000 words ahead of where I expected to be. So that's really looking good. It's really going well. So this is not quite halfway through the book. And this is where things always get hard. If you're a writer and you know, like the end or the middles of the books are always where things start to get really tough. And then by the time I get to the end, it's going to speed up. But I basically spent the last 3 days doing nothing but working on plot. And so this is what I'm going to be doing probably still for several days more. So next week, you guys might not see as much big progress going on as you did this past like couple of weeks, because I've got a lot to work on when it comes to the plotting, which doesn't make for as good of a NaNoWriMo vlogging, but that's okay. I also am going to do something really fun, which is I am going to go on a writing retreat. So next weekend is our group writing retreat. So this is part of my Facebook group that's for Heart Breathing's Word Sprint Challenge group. And every month we go on a writing retreat, which is just a virtual writing retreat. And we just pretend that we're getting on a plane and meeting each other somewhere. And then we spend the whole weekend writing. And those are always really encouraging, but I'm not always like in drafting mode. So this time it should be really, really good for me. I will be going live from 9 to 11, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then we've got other people that will be going live throughout the whole weekend. And yes, we are going to Japan. And that has been a lot of fun. And Janet does a really good job, like kind of setting the mood for that. So that's going to be fun. And I'm hoping that I'm going to get a lot of words done. So my goal right now is that by the time you guys see an update next Friday, I may not have a lot of extra words written, but I will hopefully have more of the plot figured out so that next weekend I can write a lot. But then the following weekend is when I really need to finish the book. So I've basically got 2 to 3 weeks left to finish this book and get it out to my beta readers, which brings me to another comment, which I'll mention in a second. So the weekend of the 23rd, I am going to actually go away to a condo on the beach for a couple of days. I don't know. George and I, our only like hesitation is how is Evie going to handle it? So we will see. So I'll have the virtual retreat next weekend. And then the weekend of the 23rd, I'll have an actual retreat. But one of the reasons I wanted to mention it to you now is because that is the 23rd. And I may end up not having a coffee chat that day because I want to get away to the retreat and I don't want to have to wait until 5 to leave. So we might cancel the coffee chat for that day, or we might do it. I don't know. I don't really want to do it while I'm there because I don't know if I am going to be able to have Wi-Fi enough to have a coffee chat. So we may just we've got the finale for Shadow Demons is next week. Monday and Wednesday is the finale, and then Friday is a coffee chat. So then we might just take a week off after that so that I can finish up the book and write and things like that. And then we'll be back I guess it'll be April 30th. We'll be back for another coffee chat. So that might be what we need to do just to make sure that I have enough time to go, because I do not want to like sit and wait. As much as I enjoy our talks together, it's going to be a 2.5 hour drive to the retreat location. So I want to make sure that I can get over there and not have to wait and not get there till like 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night. So, but I will keep you guys updated, and I will probably be updating the Facebook group and the Discord as well as my Instagram stories on Boo is. I know you're just kidding. I'll probably be updating over on those social medias about how the word counts are going or how the writing is going that weekend if you want to follow over there. So yeah, I think that week is probably going to be an off week, but Shadow Demons will be over by then. Next Friday, I will let you guys know what we're going to read next. So we're going to read Rival Demons. I think we probably are. So just kind of a little, caveat there, but I will let you guys know kind of what the next thing is, going on. So I took a screenshot of the Facebook questions because we only had a handful, so that I didn't have to go into Facebook because I can't do it on my phone anymore because I do not have Facebook on my phone. So Jen had asked, what is your favorite Oracle deck and how do you use Oracle decks in your practice? So I don't use Oracle decks very often in my practice. I only have two, and one of them, I can't even remember what it's called. The other one is just the Gabby Bernstein Super Attractor Oracle deck. And I do like that one because it's more like affirmations, like the universe has your back kind of stuff. And I do enjoy that one, but I don't really use it as a part of my spiritual practice too much. I know that there are a lot of people, is Timoana here today? I'm not sure if she is, but she has like a moon Oracle deck that she posts pictures from sometimes. And I know a lot of people have them. So if you guys in the comments have an Oracle deck that you definitely like using, that you use in your spiritual practice, go ahead and mention it here and I can bring them up on the screen. But I personally have never really gotten too much into Oracle decks. Oh, she's here. Woo woo. So don't you have like Moonology or another moon Oracle deck? I was thinking that you had, but I cannot remember. And I have never tried that one. So Tracy says Queen of the Moon is awesome. So there's one. I cannot remember the name of the one that I have. It's just not coming to me, but I tried connecting with it a few times and I never felt like the messages were very good or they didn't connect with me. So it could just be the deck that I had. So I don't know. I haven't used them very often. So Fairies Oracle is fantastic. Redbird said that I have more Oracle cards than tarot, but I just got the Green Witch Tarot and I love it. That one is on my list that I would really like to have. I missed what Evelyn said. I haven't gotten to the point of outside readers. I'm scared to death. Oh, it's so natural to be scared. I'm scared even at this point. So you have to just let it go and just go for it because it's probably so much better than you think. And you're going to get really good at like feedback and then it's going to give you encouragement. Yes, I do. And I love it. So that's the Moonology one. Gabriella says, I have used them as extra info with my tarot sometimes when I feel led to do so. Also sometimes use them as meditation or affirmations. So Rana says, I have the Gabby Bernstein deck and pick one card for my morning pages for affirmations. So yeah, so maybe they can give you better clarification or different things like that. Yasmin Boland, Moonology. I think I've seen several people have that deck and really, really like it. So maybe I need to grab that one to kind of get more into Oracle decks. So I mostly just use tarot decks and I'm using the Light Seers tarot deck as my morning ritual one. That's the one I've been using for the past couple of months. And then in the evening, every month I switch out my tarot deck to something new. And so there are sometimes I just come back to the same one over and over, but I used mostly the Everyday Witch Tarot last month. And then this month I'm using the Mystical Moments Tarot, which I also really like. Redbird said, I have 2 Fairies Oracles decks and Earth Magic Oracle decks, and those are my favorites. So back in the day, I used to call, when I would go on those writing retreats, I called them Write-a-Paloozas. So maybe I'll call it Sarah's Write-a-Palooza, and that will be my week. And I'm hoping that that will be like the book will be ending that week. And if it's not, then we're going to have some problems, but I will keep you guys updated. Oh, your son gifted you the Light Seers Tarot. I love it too. Tanya does a reading. I've talked about this before. At the end of every year, she offers readings for the following year. And she used that Light Seers Tarot deck. And it was, I think, the first time I had seen it for this past year's reading. And I absolutely loved it and immediately had to buy it. I highly recommend it. I also highly recommend Tanya's yearly tarot. If you ever get a chance to work with her, she's incredible. Mystical Moments too. I love it. Yes, I really love the Mystical Moments tarot as well. So yeah, if anybody likes the Oracle decks, continue to put them into the chat. So Elizabeth says, get her book with it if you get the Moonology deck. Okay, definitely. That's going to be one maybe I'll get. Laura says, I have the Goddess Oracle deck and they're beautiful. I think you just have to connect to one. I have a friend that had some kind of animal deck and she really loved it. And I just never have had one that I absolutely loved. So Kim had said, how do you move a goal forward that you didn't accomplish? Do you keep it the same or make tweaks? I'm trying to get 100 subscribers to my YouTube so I can personalize the URL. I didn't make it last quarter, so I moved it into this one. So when I don't exactly hit a goal, what I do is I use that. So this is kind of going back to my HB90 method question. So I plan in 90-day chunks for those of you that don't follow my other channel. So I have a method of planning called the HB90 where I set 3 big umbrella goals and then I break those goals down into projects and tasks. So if I have a number that I didn't hit, like let's say I was trying to get to 42,000 YouTube subscribers, which is something I was actually one of my goals, and I did not hit it. I got to like 41,900 by the time the video came out yesterday. So I was a little bit shy. So what I do is I review at the end of the quarter. I use those quarterly reviews that are in the HB90 planner and I say, is this still something I care about? Is this still something I want to do? What did I do this month? What projects and tasks seem to get me the most subscribers so that I can know to do more of that kind of stuff? What stuff did I do that didn't seem to help at all? And then I start to plan. So if I decide that, yes, this is something I still want to work toward, then I make those decisions and say, okay, so these types of videos weren't really well liked as much as these others. So I'm going to do more like this, or I'm going to come up with a new thing to try. And I just push it forward and I say, okay, sometimes I just change the number. So if I was close to the 42,000, now I'm going to set a goal for 43,000. So if you're trying to hit 100 and you're like at 95 or you're at 90 and you're going to hit that no problem, then you might want to set one for like 110 or 125. But if you are still far away, you've only got 50 subscribers and you're still, trying to double your YouTube channel, then you can reevaluate and say, do I want to set a slightly lower goal and say, let's just try to hit 75, or do I want to go for that 100? And just really kind of evaluate how long and how much progress you made this quarter versus what you want to do and make sure it feels realistic. Because I find that, let's say you set a goal for 100 and you went from 40 to 50. And so you fell 50 short. If you do that again next quarter and you still fall 40 short or whatever, you're going to start to build what I call negative momentum. And you're going to just start feeling like this is hopeless, nothing's working, and it can make you want to quit. When in fact, like my YouTube channel over there is at almost 42,000 subscribers, but it took me ages to get to 1,000 because it's slow to get a YouTube channel started. But sometimes once you get it started, it starts to grow on its own because you've got that backlist of content. YouTube starts recommending you. So you just need to find your niche. So it can be like, it might take you 6 months to get to 100, but then you might hit 1,000 within 10 days. And that's just the way YouTube can work. So don't give up on it, but set a more realistic goal for this next quarter if it was a hard, felt like a far off goal. I saw a question here. Bethany said, here's a question. How do you get out of too much to do paralysis, so much to do, but for some reason you're just paralyzed by it. Love your latest video. Really appreciated your honesty about anxiety. Do you have any coping mechanisms you can share about anxiety when good stuff happens? So one thing is when, too much to do paralysis, that is why I came up with the HB90 system in and of itself. So that's kind of how I cope with it. And sometimes even when you go through HB90, you still have too much to do. So I think it's just a matter of breaking it down into as small tasks as you can. So if you've done the HB90 and you still feel like you're feeling overwhelmed, you got to break it into smaller chunks. And what you might find is that you're still way over planning. Like if you've done the HB90 method and you've gone through the planner and you've done all the things and you've tried to break it down, you might still find that, you know what, you're actually planning still. I just did this. Janet and I just talked about this on Monday, that I have started. I did this in my video yesterday. I talked about how I'm doing this this new thing with my planner where I'm doing time tracking. And what I realized when I set up my week this week was that I had planned, I only have like 78 blocks of time to work this week, but I had planned for 100 blocks of time, which means that I was still planning like an additional 13 hours worth of work, more than I actually had available time. So, if there's too much to do, you have kind of two choices. You either have to prioritize and get better and more efficient at what you're doing, or you have to knock some things off your plate. And, it's a hard thing to do, especially when all of that stuff is things that you're obligated to do, but you got to find a way. You have to let go of things because there's no other way to get it done. You can't, I think for years I spent so much time just beating myself up and going, you know what, then you just have to be better. You just have to do more. And then I would exhaust myself. Okay, then I'm going to give up sleep. I'm going to give up time with my husband. I'm going to give up, all these things because I have all this stuff to do. And you can't sustain that. You might be able to do it for a short period of time when you have a deadline or other things like that. But, people tell you reach for the stars. But the thing is, if you're reaching for the stars at your absolute max capacity and you're overscheduling and you're putting way too much on your plate, you're not going to have the energy to go the distance and to see it through long term, because it's just like you're just hunching more on your shoulders and relying on hustle, willpower, exhaustion, that type of energy to get you through. So if you're just constantly feeling like there's just too much, you got to just start dropping things. And can feel impossible, but you got to try. You got to try to give yourself space. And, especially if you struggle with anxiety or depression or chronic illness or something like that, or even if it's not any of those things, but it's just this feeling of resistance and you procrastinate and you don't follow through, trying to force yourself to be a better person is not going to get you where you need to go. Instead, what you need to do is you need to figure out how to create space in your life to start working through whatever issues are holding you back from doing the work you really want to do. And that is the hard part because that can take a lot of time to work through, but it's so incredibly important because the more you work on yourself, the more productive you will naturally become. So Taryn said, you've done your plotting notebook, you've got your portable notes done up and your index cards are ready. So you sit down to write your scene. Now what? How do you approach your scene makeup or planning? So on my note cards, I usually will write whose point of view it is. What's the major conflict of the scene, or what's the major purpose for this scene? Like, oh, Harper's going to discover this, or Harper and Magda are about to go do this. Little bit of a little teaser moment there. Or, this is the brothers are about to go approach this thing, whatever it is. So I'll know what the main action is. And then often I'll be like, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but this is the twist that needs to be found out. Like Harper is going to, she's going to confront Lydia Ashworth. And this is what's got to happen in this scene. I don't know, obviously, how it's going to play out because, I can envision it in my mind. And often that is what I'll do. I'll pick up the note card and I'll kind of picture, okay, Harper's in the ball. I'll put myself in her shoes, almost like I'm, going through her, like stepping into her body. And I will imagine, how does she feel? What's she going through? I know she's going to confront Lydia Ashworth. What things are going to come up? And I'll just kind of start thinking about it. And then you just start writing. And a lot of times I'll know the conflict. So I'll know that, okay, this is going to be an argument because Lydia Ashworth isn't going to remember, but I don't know how it's going to fully come out. And I think that it really is going to be up to you to decide how much you need to know about a scene before you start writing. Some people don't need to know anything. Some people just need to start writing and see how it comes out. But for me, I like to, as often as possible, I like to know who's the major players, what characters are we going to see, what's the setting, like where are they, and what is the main action and why does it matter? And then once I know that, then it just comes pouring out. And sometimes it changes, but that's kind of what I need to know. And if you're sitting down, like you feel like you should know what's going to happen and you're sitting down and just nothing comes together or you don't like how it is, I have two bits of advice. One, just write it anyway. Even if it's like, this isn't coming out how I thought, it sucks, it's no good. I thought Sarah was about to give away the plot. I was sneaking you. I was talking about the last book. But if you're having trouble with that, then just write it anyway and stop judging yourself so harshly. Just write it. And if it sucks, then you throw it out and you try it again. So don't feel like it has to be perfect just to get it on the page. It's fine if you have to delete it or change it. It's totally fine. Then the second part is to try different things. So one, try the visualization exercise. This is a big thing for me. I like to do this. And then what is one of the most common things that you guys say to me as I'm reading is, Sarah writes in pictures. I can see this going through my mind like a movie. I get lost in it. And I think a big part of that is because of what I do in my writing process is I close my eyes, I step into that character as if I am them and I can feel what they're feeling and I can think about what's going on for them. And then I write from that place where I could see it playing out in my mind and I just write it as it looks to me. Does that make any sense? I don't know, but that's kind of what I do. So try that, try the visualization scene, try just pushing through whether you like it or not. And if you are still struggling, try writing down those three things, like who's the major players, what's the setting, what's the major action? Well, and a fourth thing, what's the conflict here? What's going wrong? What are they discovering? What's the purpose of this scene? Nicole said, do you have any tips on how to stop self-sabotage? I have writing and life goals that I want to achieve this year, but I keep finding myself wasting time instead of working on my projects. Scrolling through social media is one example of my time wasting. Oh no, there's more to this comment. Let me see if I can actually find it. I think it's my fear of failure that is making me self-sabotage, but I don't know how to stop. How much time do you have, Nicole? Because I could talk about this for a very long time. This is, I don't know if Tanya is still here, but this is a big thing that Tanya opened up for me. And one of the first things that she recommended, or actually, no, I started reading this book before we met, and this is part of how I got connected with Tanya. But there's a book called The Big Leap. And it's by Gay Hendricks. And it is a book about how to, it's a book about upper limit problems, about how when you start actually working toward projects you care about, you start self-sabotaging and you don't know why you do it. Well, there are reasons why. So I highly recommend picking up that book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. It's great in audiobook. It's a short book. So, it's probably not that expensive on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. And I highly recommend picking it up, or Apple Books, or wherever you buy books. And it is really life-changing in understanding that there are probably reasons why you self-sabotage either. And he actually can equate it down to like 6 things. And the one that really resonated for me was there's 2 for me. One was you were never allowed to outshine someone else. So every time you started to find success, they pushed you down. This was my mother for me. And I didn't even realize it at the time. This was a big part of me understanding that level of abuse that I suffered as a child. The second one is, see, Mason, narcissistic parents. It's absolutely the reason why. If you have not read The Big Leap, you need to grab it. It is very important, I think, for people that grew up with narcissistic parents. The second one is that you deep down, you fundamentally feel like you're a flawed person and you don't deserve it. Ouch. But so many of us feel that way. We feel like imposters. We feel like we don't really deserve to be happy. And we're in our comfort zone by being failures or by being procrastinators. And in order to break free of it, you have to start to understand that you are worthy of your own dreams. And that sounds so easy. Okay, well, then I'll just understand that I'm worthy. That's great, Sarah. It takes work, and it's taken me years and years of work, but it's valuable work and it's important to get started on, because if you find yourself self-sabotaging and you have the time to sit down and work, you want to work, but then when it comes time to work, you're like off doing something else. I saw, maybe it was Laura said, oh, I go and watch Netflix. I was the same way. It's like, I knew I wanted to work, but instead I'm like, what's playing on the ID Discovery channel, or whatever, Investigation Discovery, some more true crime. Let's watch that all day. And that's what I used to do with my life instead of writing the books. That's why, it takes 2 years sometimes for me to come out with a book, because that self-sabotage, every time I hit success, I have to sabotage, because deep down, I didn't feel like I was worthy of it. And so it takes work, and it takes loving yourself. So that is the next part of the process, is really learning to love yourself. And so Jenna says, the older I get, the less I self-sabotage. And I think that this is a good point too, because it's the older you get, the more comfortable you get with yourself, and the more you begin to understand and love yourself. And the more, I think, most of us, hopefully a lot of us, become more our true selves. And that is so true for me. The ID channel, I know it used to be my obsession. But yeah, I taking a break and watching Netflix is great. But there comes a point where you're going to be like, 75 years old and be like, God, I really wish I had actually written some of those books I wanted to write, or, created that garden, or done those things that big dream. Because, time is not infinite. Time is the one thing we can't get more of. So, doesn't mean that we should hustle and push ourselves to death, but it does mean that we need to get busy loving ourselves and being true to ourselves so that we can do the work we were put here to do. So, Ashley, I think this has been mentioned before, but how do you keep up with your ideas and stop from switching from one to another? Oh, this is hard. I am not great with it, because obviously I have so many series going. But I think I think that switching from one story to another, if you do it a lot, that also comes from self-sabotage and fear, and it also comes from not enough knowledge of how to continue on with the book. So I see a lot of writers that will get excited about the initial story idea and they start writing. And once it gets hard and they can't figure out what happens next, they start struggling. They start feeling like they're no good. Usually happens about halfway through the book, or just after the excitement of Act 1, and you move into the new doorway. And then it's like, I don't know what happens next. Oh, you know what? I have this other really good idea. That one will be better. And the shiny new moves on to the next thing. Like, oh, let's start writing that one. And when you switch and you switch and you switch, because the book gets hard, you never are going to finish a book. Now, Jennifer says, sometimes when you switch, you end up with The Witch's Door. The same thing happened with Sacrifice Me. I switched. Same thing happened with Deep Dark Secrets. So there can be good books, but the key there is that I switched and I finished, but then I switched back to another and another. So, you have to finish series too, which we're working on. But I think that is how you have to keep with your idea, is you have to find the motivation within yourself to keep working on it when it gets hard, instead of getting, what is the right word I'm looking for? Tempted away by the shiny new like siren song of a new project. So maybe have a special place. I'm going to talk about this on Heart Breathings coming up when I do a whole series on ideas, is to have a place and a process for writing down your ideas that are your shiny new things. Like, okay, I don't want to let this go because this is a really good idea. So have a process for like giving yourself an hour or 20 minutes to sit down and write down everything you can think of for the new story, and then closing it up and moving on to the next, like moving back to your real story that you're working on, and tell yourself that new thing can be a reward when I finish this, but just don't give up because it got hard. And really try to examine what is making you stop working so that you don't stop anymore. But that's really the key, is you got to finish. You have to just finish. And if you find yourself making it a little ways in, and then you have to like back off because it got hard, or you constantly make it like 15,000 words in and then you move to something different, then it's either that you're sabotaging, or it got hard and you just don't know how to keep going. So you have to either read more books about how to plot and how to keep going, or you have to just let it suck and then keep moving, right? So just give yourself permission for it not to be great, and move on. So Ashley also said a couple weeks ago, you mentioned that you're working to have a printed version of the HB90 method. Is it going to be available in different sizes like A5 or Happy Planner Classic? So we are working on that. I would love to do a printed version because I know there are lots of people that are not buying or using or able to use the HB90 planner because they don't have their own printer, or they just don't have the time to start working on the next, or to start working on the printed version. You can't really like, I was just telling Janet on Monday, I'm selling a planner to people who are trying to be more productive and they're already super busy, and then telling them they'd have to print it out themselves, which then for a lot of people takes a lot of time. And so I totally understand that can be a hard thing. And if we do offer it, it will probably start with just the goals planner and not the quarterly planner, but I'm not 100% certain. It's just going to depend. And it will be unbound, most likely, just printed. And then you can hole punch it yourself for whether you want to put it into a Happy Planner or you want to put it into a ring bound system, or whatever you want to do. And it will be in hopefully the A5 letter and Happy Planner sizes. That's kind of what we've been working toward, or half letter maybe. So we will keep you guys updated on it. I don't know yet what the prices might be, or if it's going to be a thing that we can do. So we'll see. Alex was the final comment that said no question today, because I feel like I'm always asking questions. No need to apologize for that. I just wanted to say major congrats on your Q1 goals. You're a total inspiration, and I hope Q2 goes just as well. Thank you very much for that, Alex. I hope Q2 goes well as well as can be. The biggest thing is getting this book done. This is like the biggest thing. Like, I think having 2.5 years between books is just such a disappointment. But as long as it can be a really good book, then I'll be proud of it, no matter how long it took me to go, or to write. So I'm very excited about that. And it's also possible that I'll be writing another book by the time this quarter is over. So this book obviously comes out on May 11th. So hello, like 1 month from 2 days from now, Sunday, 1 month from Sunday. Talk about pushing yourself to the last minute. And then I'll have the rest of May and June to start working on not only an audio book of Beautiful Demons, but also writing the next book. So that's kind of the next big thing, is what am I going to write next? And I know that I'm already plotting the final book in the series. So that might be the next thing, but I might also need a little bit of what we call a palate cleanser, like something else that I can do so that I can kind of clear my brain space while I'm plotting. So I will probably, what I'm thinking of doing is either going and writing the end of The Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw, or the Lost in the Night book, which is that psychological thriller that I was going to do under a pen name, because both of those books are around halfway finished. So I will keep you guys updated, and then we will talk about it a little bit more on Friday. So Moana says, but you work so well under pressure. You know me so well. So yeah. And Jennifer, it will be a good book. Hello. Are you reading a book? You got a book? You want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, buddy.
Hi, buddy. You come sit with mommy? Mwah. Yeah. Say hi. This is okay. Google, but I don't want to say those in 2 words too close together because it'll turn it on. So say hi. Hi, buddy.
Hi, buddy.
Hi, everybody. I just was finding out that the food truck I thought we were going to eat tonight has canceled because their food truck broke down. So we got to figure out what we're eating for dinner tonight. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, she brought her own book. Night, night, little Pookie. Sandra Boyne. She likes that one. So thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you all. And I'm excited for next week because we will be finishing up Shadow Demons. So what we're going to do, if you didn't hear the news, is instead of doing 13 episodes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we will be reading just longer episodes, and it'll just be 11 and 12. And 12 on Wednesday will be the finale of the book, and the book will be over. And then on Friday, we'll have a coffee chat, but it will also be a party, kind of a wrap up party. So we're going to have some giveaways. We're going to have some do not grab that, please. That would be very cold. We're going to do some giveaways. We're going to do some just kind of like fun little chats and things like that. So I hope that you will join me on Friday, but definitely join me on Monday and Wednesday for the finale of Shadow Demons. And are you going to eat that? This is my dragonflies that you guys sent, but she's trying to eat it. So yeah, it's going to be really fun, and I will see you guys then. And we will talk next Friday about what we're reading next and what that will be. So like I said, next week will be the finale. Then the next week I might take off. I'll let you know. And she's trying to get this kitty. Here you go. Don't eat it. Okay. Look at this little face. This is a devious child, y'all. I'm telling you, she's so great. I love it. I did not do that. I think Evie must have done that. But thank you guys for the update. Thank you for being here. And I will see you all on Monday. I hope you have an amazing weekend. Love to you all. And I will see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.